Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Bernie again with CG Spectrum. I'm a mentor in the Department of Concept Art for CG Spectrum. Welcome, everyone. We're gonna continue with the Goblin character that we worked on last week. And since we're just gonna be finishing up this guy, I'm not gonna warm up today, but hopefully, yeah, you guys have some artwork pulled up where we'll be working together. All right, so last week we focused more on the anatomy, getting a good base for that anatomy. We didn't cover up his body too much with clothing. Again, just so we can focus on the anatomy aspect. I did add these earrings here, or I don't know what you call these, but those primitive earrings, the ones that are huge with the clay circle inside or ring inside of them. And I did add this mustache and little goatee looking thing. So today I'm gonna further render this guy and probably add some more elements to it. Here I have a necklace sketched out, made out of bones probably, or fish bones or something like that. So that's something that I might be adding on later. I did try like some kind of a fisherman's hat, like a straw hat as well, just to sketch it in there and consider if I'm gonna do this or not. Still not sure yet, but yeah, we'll leave that closed for now and continue rendering the figure. So at this stage I am gonna I'm gonna render out the medium to smaller details first before I really do the fine details. I didn't finish doing the rest. I started with the chest area last week and the head, so I gotta finish up the rest of the body. Yeah, so let's start here. And anytime, again, when you guys you're not sure what a part of the anatomy or the muscles look like, pull up some reference real quick. Just pull it up and have it on a different screen if you have two monitors, or on the side, or cut and paste it into your image on the side so you can always refer to some anatomy instead of just, you know, guessing, right? I know it's easy to get lazy and just try to wing it, but it's really important to get in the habit of pulling up reference whenever you're not sure, whenever something looks wrong. Taking the time to pull up reference is what really makes a big difference between artwork that looks believable and more sophisticated in some ways compared to artwork that is just missing something, right? Missing that level of believability or detail. Trying to get that elbow in there. It's looking kind of weird. Not as natural as I want it to look, so probably have to adjust that silhouette a little bit. And I'm constantly color picking off of my image here to get some variation quickly with the values. Yeah, once you have a certain range of values on your image, then yeah, there's no need to go, back to selecting your colors and values on the color wheel. It's just easier to pick it off of your image itself. And this is the stage where I am thinking about adding the more subtle details like these tendons under the wrist. So again, the whole point is trying to make it more, adding details to make it more believable. So those are opportunities that I'm looking for as I develop this image. Hey, Rushback. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Kara. Kara's asking, how did you decide what studio you wanted to work for when you were a student? And how did you go about that for your portfolio? Yeah, so when I started looking for my first job, it was in 2001. Fall of 2001, and at the time there was the I think it was the .com bubble burst. The stock market crashed, right? So it was a very bad time for the economy, so I didn't have a choice. I was looking for any job, and I remember I was applying everywhere. It didn't matter if they had an open position or not. What I did was I just researched online all the different game companies in the US, and I just applied everywhere. And I don't remember, but I must have applied to, man, over 40 places. Must have been over 40 places that I applied to. And I only got maybe four replies back, and out of those four there's only maybe two or three, I don't remember, two maybe, that were serious, like really kind of interested, right, in talking with me further. I think the other replies were more like just giving me some kind of a reply. I honestly don't remember, it's been such a long time, but it was some kind of reply that didn't really show real interest in, further talking with me. And so one of them was an art test that they wanted me to do, and it had to do with some 3D stuff, like low poly 3D model. And I'm not going to say the company's name, but I remember. But yeah, I stayed up 2 nights trying to figure out 3D Studio Max and make this 3D character, low poly 3D character, and it was horrible. I had to learn how to model, texture, and animate this simple 2D or 3D character, and it didn't turn out well. I finished it, but it just wasn't good. I submitted it, and I never heard back from them. So yeah, sometimes you'll work hard on something and you just never hear back from them again. So luckily, one of the companies that I applied to, they actually had an opening, but it was all the way out in Illinois. I was in California at the time, but you know, like I said, I didn't have a choice. I was quite, I guess I was quite desperate, meaning it was more like I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I knew the importance of getting experience. And so I got the job at that place, and I moved up to Illinois. I planned on staying there only for maybe a year, but I ended up staying there for 3 years actually. And I actually really liked Illinois. It's this place called Champaign, Illinois, which is 2 hours south of Chicago. So it was a university town. The U of I, University of Illinois, was out there, or is out there. So it's a very small town, but it still has everything you need there because it has a large university out there. And I rather like the small town feel actually. I was surprised by that. I didn't know that I would, but I did. I actually met my wife out there too. That's probably one of the reasons why I stayed out a little longer. But yeah, I don't think you should be picky at all about your first job at all. You just want to get a job that where you could get some experience and build up your portfolio and resume, right? You really shouldn't be picky. You'll learn quickly once you start applying. If you don't get replies back, right? You'll realize, you just got to get a job. Luckily, my first job was really good though. I got to work on a role-playing game, fantasy role-playing game, which was, really what I was interested in at the time. So it was perfect for me. I'm doing pretty good, Rush. Monday mornings are always a little tough. But, just trying to get back into the flow of things. How are you guys doing? I think I liked the way the fingers looked before. Let's switch back. I was kind of zoning out while I was doing these fingers, so it ended up not looking so great. that right here is supposed to be the thumb. Hey, what's up, Nay? Would that include not being picky about pay as well? So, I would say so. I mean, it really depends. Everything depends, right? It depends on, you know, what level of an artist you are, like how high level of an artist you are. And that's hard to judge, right? I mean, you need to be very self-aware and understand what's out there, and in terms of, like, you know, how high or what level you rank as an artist, right? And that's not easy to do, or maybe it's impossible to do when you're just starting off. I would say don't be picky, not for your first job. Go on glassdoor.com to figure out, you know, maybe the average income or salary that you can get for a particular company, right? Because they do list, some people list their salary, right? So you can get a basic idea of, you know, what's in the correct range. Generally, if you go to a larger company, they're not going to try to rip you off or anything like that. They usually have standards of you know, what base salary they'll offer to a entry-level artist. So you don't have to worry about that usually when you go to a larger game company. Not only that, if you really want to negotiate, you can, but I wouldn't, because they do have a range, again, that they offer, right? And it really depends on, again, your level as an artist. So if they believe or feel like you are a higher level artist for an entry level, they will, you know, they're willing to go up higher. Not by too much probably, but they are willing. There is a range they can play with, of course. If you're exceptional, they will make exceptions as well. You know, I've seen that happen too. And don't get me wrong, negotiation is extremely important. It's an extremely important part of, you know, getting a job. And a lot of times I've seen great artists not be able to negotiate, or they just don't negotiate at all. So, you know, it's really not the smartest thing, right? And I know some artists, they just want to focus on the art and they're not good at numbers or, again, negotiating their pay. And yeah, that's not, I mean, you eventually want to learn to negotiate and do all that stuff. That's actually a good topic for a podcast that maybe one of the guys that's at the school can do. But yeah, I mean, from my experience, negotiation is huge. It could mean a difference between like a huge amount of money, like 30-40% up to, you know. People don't, I feel like in America especially, people don't know how to negotiate, and it's such an important part. But again, it all depends. Yeah, it really does depend. The more experience you have, you know, the more leverage you have to negotiate. And the less experience you have, you know, the less room you have to negotiate. That's just how it is. But I remember, yeah, so for my first job, I don't believe I negotiated. Yeah, I didn't. I just accepted the offer, and it was fine. It was, they didn't rip me off. It was, the living cost in where I was living at the time was super cheap, ridiculously cheap. So I was doing fine. And so it does, oh, that's another thing to consider, is that if you live in an area where the living costs are high, you know, you do expect more money, right? It's just living costs are going to be higher, and that's how you can talk to whoever you're speaking to, like the hiring manager or whoever, about that concerns you, and that's, you know, you could use that as leverage to negotiate as well. just communicating your needs, your expectations, things like that. And there's many other things you can negotiate on as well. It's just not salary. Sometimes if it's a startup, you can get stock options or stocks, right? What else? You can negotiate bonuses. You can negotiate your moving expenses, right? If you have to relocate. There's many things you can negotiate. You can even negotiate working from home, like time working from home. So I've done that in the past where you can say, let me work from home on Fridays, you know, every week. That's one of my conditions. Everything and anything's negotiable. And they might say no, but you know, you never know unless you ask. And really what you want to do is you want to negotiate what makes sense to the both of you, right? Your company and you as their employee. You want to do what makes sense. You don't want to just throw numbers out or throw out, like, you know, things you want without a reason that makes sense behind it. Hey Penny, thanks. Going kind of slow right now. But yeah, it's been fun. Hey, Seprasite? Oh, Margaret, that's you. Okay, hey, what's going on? Why did your name change? So Margaret's asking, how does it feel to go back to something you started a week ago? I feel like it would be hard seeing as you lose your flow. It could be. Yeah. Like, I think that's why I'm kind of going slow on this right now and just trying to get back into it, right? Yeah. And my personality, again, is more like, I like moving forward with things. So it's especially harder for someone like myself where this is old. This was last week's stuff, you know what I mean? I'd rather do something new. But as an artist or as a professional, you really do have to get used to just finishing something up. Even if you naturally don't feel like it. So it's good practice. How do I try to get back into it? I don't know. I think you just push through it. There's no trick or anything. You just do it. You just start it. Maybe what I'm trying to do mentally is just tell myself not to get too caught up in, because I'm noticing things that are wrong. Because, you know, when you spend time away from an image and you look at it later, you notice like little things here and there that are all like kind of weird looking, and you want to fix everything. But yeah, I guess not getting caught up in all that and just moving forward with it is an important aspect. So yeah, instead of I guess you could take it both ways, but two different ways. But for me, I get caught up in little details, so I'm again trying not to. I'm trying to just move forward with the overall image, and then I can make the fixes later is what I keep telling myself. Because if I don't tell myself that, the process is gonna be so slow because I'm trying to fix every little thing that may not even matter to the overall image. It's just too slow of a process. It slows me down too much to think that way. By the way, continuing with that question about salary. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's continue with that first, and then I'll answer your other question, Kara. So yeah, after you land your first job, and of course you're getting a set salary, for your second job, you can use that salary base as a starting point. So for example, let's say you were getting 50,000 as your base salary for your first job. Then for your second job, you can ask for, again, depending on, let's say you worked 3 years at your first job, so you're no longer entry level. You used to get paid around 50,000 with some raises, or, you know, along, you know, every year maybe you got like a 5% raise. Then for your second job, you can most likely ask for around $75,000, $80,000, depending again on your skill level. So you're using your base pay or your previous pay as a guideline for how much you would ask. And sometimes, actually in California, I don't know what it's like in other states, but in California, I don't think that your employee can, or potential employer can ask you how much you used to get paid anymore. That used to be the case where they'll just ask you, or you had to fill out a form where you write down your previous pay. But I think that's illegal to do now, which is actually better for us as an employee. And I don't really know, honestly, how many companies actually checked or verify that information anyways. But yeah, if you go too unreasonably high in what you're asking for, people, you know, the employer or whoever, the hiring manager, will just think you're unreasonable, and you might scare them away. But again, as long as it's within a reasonable range, sure, why not ask? There'll be, you know, some back and forth. In the past, I've actually, well, there was one instance where I did piss off a hiring manager. I don't know why they got mad, because it's nothing personal, right? But that person got mad at me. They yelled at me for asking for too much. But this hiring manager was actually in China. I don't know. In the US, I don't think they would yell at or get mad at you. They know it's not personal. I don't know why. I think maybe in comparison to what the other employees get paid usually in China, the amount was just ridiculous. So maybe they're just shocked by the amount I asked for. And Kara, to finish up answering your questions, you said, and how did you go about that for your portfolio? Yeah, so what I did know is that I wanted to work on a fantasy game. Again, like I said, I wanted to work on fantasy, ideally a role-playing game. And so all my artwork, pretty much, I would say 80% of it was fantasy art. Yeah, so it worked out for me. Yeah, it was a very challenging time though. Again, I remember there were almost no openings. There must have been maybe just a handful, like 5 or 6 openings, actual openings online. And that's why I had to apply just anywhere and everywhere. Hey, hey, Grimnail. You're working on concept art homework? Awesome. Yeah, Penny, the mustache, it's like a Fu Manchu mustache, or yes, Salvador Dali, yeah. Oh yeah, upside down, his went up, right? I forgot about that. It defied gravity. Hey, Sean. Who's Goblin Slayer? I'm not sure who you're talking about. Alright, cool, let's keep going. I'm gonna finish up this side, the details on this side of the torso. Just add a few details. Trying to draw the nipple here, but it's looking weird. I'll deal with that later. All right. Let's start with the legs. I am pulling up some reference right now for the leg muscles, even though I kind of know it. It never hurts, especially when I'm kind of just on autopilot here in the morning for myself. It's good to have some reference so I don't do anything crazy. Like I said earlier, you guys should always pull up reference when in doubt. But again, don't overly get caught up with the details in the reference, just refer to it again. Remember, it's just reference, right? Yeah, there are times when, again, I am zoning out or I'm not thinking too much about something and I'm just painting or drawing. And I look back at it later while I'm looking at reference and it just looks too much like the reference and I didn't really adapt it to my concept piece. So then I have to make adjustments, right? And that's quite common at different levels. Making adjustments after the fact is quite common. And again, to find like that perfect reference is not easy to do usually either. So you always have to make some adjustments. Oh, he's an anime character? Kills goblins? Okay. That's cool. Is the name of the show Goblin Slayer? Or what's the name of that anime? And Margaret's asking, you work at a studio as well, right? How do they feel about you working at CG Spectrum? Do you have to work out some deal? Yeah, I work at a game studio full-time. They don't know. I didn't feel the need to tell them that I work for CG Spectrum, so they don't know. Do you have to work out some deal? No, I don't believe so. This is not a competing company. It's not like we make video games or anything, right? So I don't think there's a need to disclose that I am working for CG Spectrum. If it was another game company that I'm working for, like doing freelance, a lot of game companies will have you sign a non-compete, or basically, yeah, they don't want you to be working for any company that is, you know, is a potential competition to them, right? So yeah, in that case, that would be a different story. I mean, in my opinion, doing stuff that like this makes me more valuable actually to my company, because it's developing my mentoring skills, which is really what you want. One of the attributes you want in a lead or art director, someone who can mentor the junior artists, interns, or just artists in general. And it doesn't mean that they're the best artists in the studio. Oftentimes the art director or lead artist is not the best artist, right? In terms of like actual producing art, but they usually do have a heart or a passion to build other people, the other artists under them up, right? To build them up, to have them grow. And just to yeah, help them grow as a professional artist, whatever they getting, you know, providing things that they need, encouraging them, giving them feedback, things like that. And that's something that you do want in a art director or a lead artist. And it, you know, also someone who has like a vision for the department. So all these things are developed as you mentor as well. So it's a benefit to them that I'm doing this. All right, cool. So this leg's looking better. Oh, the show name is Goblin Slayer? Okay, I'll check it out. All right, let's work on this other leg here. Again, I'm referencing. So let me compare real quick this leg without reference and with. So this is like the base for my leg. Of course, I could have done this without reference as well, but you can see like there is a difference here. That helped a lot in terms of believability. Yeah. And my reference again is not perfect. If I can't show it to you guys, but if I showed it to you, you would see that it's not really perfect reference. Any kind of reference will help is my point. You don't have to sit there and spend like hours trying to look for the right reference. Just any kind of reference is better than nothing. I am trying to limit my value range here because I did want to put a lot of this this lower leg in shadow overall, just to create some more depth. Push that back a bit more. So I'm trying to remember that. All right, so that's with and without the adjustments that we made and the details with the reference. Let me see if I could add a little bit more detail and believability to the stomach area. Margaret, you're saying it's pretty impressive that you're working full-time as well. A lot of working going on. Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of work. Yeah, my own personal reasons for doing that right now. One of the reasons is really that mentoring is much more fulfilling for me personally at this time. Yeah, it gives me a reason to, or something to look forward to in some ways, if that makes sense. I've been doing concept art for so long that it just becomes somewhat repetitive. And it's not really, again, to be honest, it's not 100%, like, it's not the same. It's not fulfilling as much as it used to be. But yeah, it's just seeing other artists grow, helping other artists to grow and do well. That feels more fulfilling to me at this point in my life. I feel like I'm actually doing something good. Or helpful, at least, beneficial to someone. Which is, you know, to me is very important. Yeah. And I do have a teaching gene inside of me. Many of my family members and relatives are teachers. My dad was he's retired now, but he was a professor at a college. And my mom was also a art instructor, art teacher. My sister's an elementary school teacher. My wife was a instructor at a college as well. Well, that has nothing to do with genes, I guess, but that's my wife, yeah. And then my grandfather was an art instructor, art teacher as well. Yeah, so I have many relatives and family members that are teachers. So I think it does run in the family. whole art thing too. I don't know if you guys have a lot of relatives that are, or family members that are in the art field. I tend to notice that, again, it does run in the family. Yeah, I have an aunt who worked at Blizzard as well as a UI artist. And I believe she's still at not League of Legends, at Riot Games right now. And my dad, he wanted to be a comic book artist growing up, but he gave up on that, just thinking that, you know, he told me everyone said he would be poor, which is probably would have been true for him growing up in Korea, where, you know, even if you were very good at art, doing comic art, you wouldn't make any money doing it. So yeah. But yeah, I'm just doing this, the instructing stuff or the mentorship stuff on the side. It's a part-time thing for now. Maybe that'll change in the future. I think that's an improvement to the belly area. There's more subtle details in there that help sell it as making it more believable. So I will keep that. Sometimes I'll do a pass and it won't look right, and so I'll just scrap it. But in this case, I think it looks a little better. So again, it's always good to try things. Like sometimes people hesitate to try things, but always try it. When in doubt, just try it. Don't wonder, right? Don't wonder, just try it. All right, cool. Let's add some more values to the things I added, like the earring pieces, the stretched out like earlobes, and then let's move forward with this thing. Some shadows behind this thing. I think I'm gonna add some accents behind this head area. The head shape, I was having trouble with the shape of his head for whatever reason. I don't know why. But at a certain point, I just gotta move forward. So I might even end up adding a hat. So I might just be wasting my time trying to get his head looking right. So we're just gonna move forward after I touch it up a little bit. Let's add a few details to the feet. Let's try a quick pass. I was just thinking it wasn't as important, so I was gonna leave it rough, but if we can quickly add some more details, it might be worth it, so. And I wasn't even sure how I wanted to show off the feet, so I just left it kind of up in the air. And I only gave him 3 toes. I should give him 4 actually. Indicate some of the tendons in his feet. And his ankle, kind of show the structure of the ankle a little bit more, just so there's more structure in there. Let's quickly try to do this one too. Alright, so that was not too bad in terms of how long I spent on it. It does help with just that level of believability and detail. Even though it's a very subtle read, I think it helps. Alright. And generally you don't want to spend too much time on things that you want to prioritize how you want to spend your time, especially if you have a limited amount of time to work on something, which is usually the case as a professional. You are going to have a limited amount of time to work on things, so you really have to prioritize what you're working on. But sometimes it's just fun to try different things. Yeah. All right. Hey Grimnail, you're asking when is it appropriate to actually merge your layers? Whenever you feel like it. It depends. Yeah, it depends. Let's say when you want to add a background to your character, even if it's a simple just gray background with a gradient, you do have to separate. So at that point, you would have to merge. My layers are all messed up right now, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. There's no order to it right now. I did kind of merge them before the stream, because from last week I did simplify the layers. So whenever it's getting out of hand and it's getting too crazy, then that's the time you would merge. But again, if you're using clipping masks to organize your layers and painting, you definitely want to stay disciplined with your layers. Here I'm just going with it. Patrick, you're saying you're the only one in your family who's interested in doing something creative? Yeah, I mean, if you look carefully, you might be able to, or if you talk to some of your family members or relatives, there's a lot of the times family members who seem like they're not creative, or at least not doing a job that's creative, they basically, a lot of them suppressed their desire to do something creative for sometimes good reasons, right? Sometimes they're bad reasons, but again, sometimes there are good reasons. Just because you have to survive sometimes, you got to pay the bills sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially the older generation or the previous generations where, you know, there weren't as many opportunities to do creative things, depending on where they're from. So it wouldn't really be the smartest thing to drop everything just to be creative, right? I've seen plenty of people who are creative that are not doing too well because they've neglected a lot of the other things, right? The other responsibilities in life. But you know, it really depends on how you want to live. Obviously, it's your choice. But you just don't want other people around you to suffer because of your decision making, right? But yeah, there are people that are actually creative. Like when people look at my dad, I don't think they would think he's creative, but he actually is at heart. His mind is like, he has creative thinking, like naturally. He's always thinking of like weird stuff, but he won't really show that to other people or communicate that to other people. He just keeps it to himself or shares it with me because he knows I won't judge him. Yeah. And Grimnail, you're saying I'm the only one in my family who's ever sketched more than a stick figure. I guess there are anomalies, right? That happens too, I'm certain of that. Yeah. All right, at this point, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this now. I think the obvious thing I can try is do another light pass on it. So I think I'll try that. This is just really the base for the details and all that. Now I know what's going on with everything, and so I can add highlights to it. Maybe I'm gonna paint in the eyes real quick just to give it a soul. I know, like when you zoom out on it, the eyelids almost look like an eye, the actual eye, but it's not. The eye's actually under here. He's kind of looking down a little bit. I'm gonna give him blue eyes actually, or bluish green eyes. I'm gonna make them pretty bright to start off. I might adjust that later. Put a little gradient under his eye. Let me paint in the white of his eyes real quick. I might make it slightly warmer. And again, it's gonna be pretty bright, and then I'll adjust it later. It's quite challenging sometimes to figure out how bright or what kind of color or value the white of the eye should be. So you just throw something in and adjust it. It all depends on the lighting and the overall values around the character. I'm still not sure. Yeah, maybe that's better. And I'm going to go in here and add a little detail just to break up the iris a bit. And I know my light is coming slightly from the left. It's generally top down. And I'm gonna go in there and reshape the eye, the shape of the eye a little bit, or around it, if I need to. And clean up the structure a little bit. It's kind of messy here. So I'm going to figure out the structure of the eye. And to be honest, I do not like the way I did the eyes here. I'll probably address it again later. I actually really hate the way the eyes turned out. And that happens sometimes. You're just doing stuff and you look at it and you're like, oh, you just absolutely hate it. And the eyes are such an important part of the painting, right? So my gut is like, I just want to redo it. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. Let me see if I could force it to work. Sometimes it's better to do that, especially when you're on again, when you have a limitation on time. You just gotta make it work somehow. So for the sake of just moving forward, maybe I could just make it work a little better at least. Yeah, that looks a little better. Sean saying family was never into art as much, but musical at one point, but definitely not artsy. So far, I'm the only one that's pursuing it. Sister tried, but she said the same thing. There's no money in it. She's probably regretting it now. Yeah, so obviously the creative gene is in your family. There's no money in it. There is money in it, but at this point, right? But it is obviously still very competitive. Yeah, but like anything or any field that a lot of people want to get into, it really depends on how much you're willing to put into it, right? The work. If you're willing to really put in the work, then you'll be fine. But you do have to be extremely honest with yourself and where you're at. That's important too. Like how much time you think you're gonna need to achieve your goals, basically, right? Because it does take time to get to a certain level. You're just not gonna get to a certain level overnight, right? And in my opinion, it takes smart planning too. We all have a limited amount of time to learn things, right? So you need to be smart about wise about how you spend your time. This all there's a lot of areas that look odd to me, but I'm gonna just keep going forward. I'm getting caught up in like the things that bother me. But I shouldn't. Add a few wrinkle details here. Adding some detail under the eyelid. Or sorry, under the, yeah, just the bottom of his eye area. All right. What do I hate? Oh, I think for the eyes, Patrick, what I hated about it was that it was just not looking like it was fitting into the overall style of the image. It was looking a bit too cartoony earlier, so when I broke it up and I kind of I made it sit into the image a little better. Now it's not bothering me so much. It was just standing out way too much before. Hey Sean, yeah, so when I was in college, art college, I only slept like 3 to 4 hours a night average. So sometimes I would sleep less than that. And the reason why is because I wanted to get in. I mean, I was working hard too with my artwork and art projects, but part of the reason was because I wanted to play games. And I had to lose sleep to play the games. So yeah, games, you know, if you really want to work for a game company, you do have to understand games and all that and see what's fun about it and be passionate about games as well. But obviously you don't want to overdo it. Yeah. I do not play that many games anymore. I play mostly mobile games just because I don't have the time, but it's so tempting when I see, you know, fun games that everyone is playing. I really want to play, but just don't have the time to get into any games. So Patrick, you're asking how many hours can you draw before getting exhausted? Work and art practice. Depends. If I'm on a roll, I think a lot of artists are like this, right? If you're on a roll, you're really feeling the image. I can go like for a long time. I'm not sure if I'm like that anymore. When I was younger, I could paint and draw for a long time. I wish I didn't have to eat or sleep. I would just keep drawing and painting nonstop. If I had to put a number on it, I don't know, like 6 to 8 hours straight at a time, and then I'll take a break and then draw again. Now, I don't know, now it's not the same, to be honest. I think I'll like paint or draw for 2 to 3 hours at a time before I take a break. I don't know, I'm just getting old, I guess. I have to take more breaks just to, so I don't get too tired or burnt out, or just to refresh my, mind. Hey, thanks Rushback. I'm trying here. Shadowland expansion. See, I don't even know. I've heard of Shadowland, but I can't, nothing comes to mind in terms of visual memory. I don't remember what that looks like. There's so many games out these days. Can't keep up with it, unfortunately. And these days, it seems like a lot of the games, you have to invest so much time into it, right? To be competitive, to do online gameplay, right? You have to invest so much time into it to get really good at something. It's, you know, just don't want to even start because of that. I've just been playing Pokemon Go with my kid these days. Anyways, I am hesitating from moving forward with this right now. Let's make a new layer and start another a light pass on this guy. This is where it's going to start to really come alive. And this is where you really want to start editing more, where you place your brush strokes and your lighting. You don't want to start throwing it down everywhere. And this is where you are going to bring in your fine, subtle details that really sell this image. So what I'll do in this stage is I'll just try things that I think is gonna work, and if it doesn't work, I'll scrap the whole thing or a whole layer and just try something new, because it's that important at this stage to really sell your piece or the believability of your character. So you have like I have a solid base here, right? Now I could play on top of that base. And try different things. And as I'm doing these little details, I'm trying to recall in my mind like the little nuances or details that I've learned from doing, you know, figure studies or head studies in this case. I'm trying to recall those details and apply them here. And again, that's why some things will work and some things won't. So you'll see me erase stuff out, or again, sometimes I'll just scrap the whole layer and try a different version of it, depending on how much time I have. So that's what I'm telling you guys, doing studies is so important. I can't emphasize it enough. You guys have to do the studies off of reference, photos, life, anything. You guys have to do the studies if you want to get better. That's like the #1 thing that makes the difference, right? And for whatever reason, oh, I know the reason, I guess, but students don't want to do the studies. They want to do they think the studies are boring, or they want to jump to the fun stuff, right? You have to do the studies if you want to improve. That's what will make the difference. That's how you're gonna improve by leaps and bounds. That's how you create that library in your head of what things are supposed to look like. Or at least it might not be 100% accurate, right? But it makes it more believable. And then you're able to manipulate the anatomy, you're able to manipulate details to make them look believable and apply them to your own artwork. It'll help you take everything to the next level. It's like going from a wagon, right? Like a stick figure is like drawing a wagon or a cart, right? And then you go to like a sedan, like a normal car, family, I don't know. And then you're able to draw a Ferrari or something, right? It's just taking it to different levels. But if you don't know your anatomy well, there's no way you can manipulate it to look right. It'll look weird. Or you won't know what to do, what you can and can't do, if you don't know the anatomy. Alright, so Sean, you're saying you trickle down to retro and single player games because you can just stop whenever you want. Yep. That's basically what I'm doing right now. World of Warcraft. Yeah, I had to quit playing World of Warcraft. It was ruining my marriage. This was a long time ago. This was, what is it, like 13 years ago. I first started playing World of Warcraft when I started working at Blizzard. Brian actually got me into it. And I was playing it so much. First year of marriage, it was really bad. So I decided to quit. And that was a good decision. It was just too fun. Had too much, it just took over my life, basically. All those raids and everything. Brian almost ruined my marriage. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but it's a fun game. I don't know what it's like now. It's been such a long time since I played it. Trainer code? Yeah, we'll talk about that later, Margaret. Yeah. What's New Expo? Is that a new game? See, I don't even know what's going on these days. Penny, you're asking what hotkeys do you use map in order to switch back and forth between eyedropper and brush tool? Just standard B and L. Yeah, so brush is B. The eyedropper is Alt-Option key on my keyboard here. Yeah, so a lot of hotkeys are really important to speed things up on your keyboard, of course. Yeah, always keep one hand on my keyboard just to make the workflow much faster. So definitely, if you guys haven't done all that, set up your hotkeys in a way that works for you. It will make just your workflow so much faster. Work setup is so important. Yeah, like whenever I work on like other people's computers, or desk setups, just to give them, you know, in the past, if I give them feedback on their workstations, it would completely throw me off. I would feel like, you know, I don't know how to walk again or something like that. So that just shows how important your work setup is. All right, let's get this side lit up too. Oh, I forgot to switch back to my hard edge brush. That's why it looks so airbrushy over there. Even though I'm adding all these details in, I want to make sure that I am retaining the overall shape of the head or whatever I'm painting, right? I don't want to get caught up in the details and lose the overall volume of the surface that I'm painting on, or the shape of the object I'm painting on. So again, I want to keep that in mind constantly to make sure that I'm showing the volume of the overall surface area. And I'm constantly changing my brush size, if you can't tell. Yeah, I know I have to make some adjustments with the forehead right now, but I think I'm just gonna leave it for now because I'm kind of getting caught up in it. I want to come back to it later. Thanks, Penny. Patrick, you love doing studies? Awesome. But you said you can't draw your own stuff? What does that mean? You guys are funny. No, Patrick, I don't know who Cole Eastburn is. Maybe he came, or he came after me. I don't know. I've never heard of him. I was on the cinematics team at Blizzard, so maybe that's why I don't know him. But the cinematics team basically worked on all the different projects that Blizzard had at the time. Yeah, Margaret, I use the back brackets to change the brush size. Patrick, you said you spent 3 weeks just for a character design. Can't finish it. It's annoying in the meantime. I only do studies. I like that more. Yeah, I mean, I tend to work on multiple projects at the same time. It works for me that way, so I don't get hung up on one image. And I could, you know, if I get stuck on something, I could jump to the next image. So I still stay somewhat productive. Well, I'm taking a look at what I've done here, and I do not like it. There's certain things I like about before it, so I'm trying to decide what to do. I might just erase some of this out, bring back the aspects I like underneath. Anyways, let's keep going. I'm getting hung up on the details. Yeah, like when I'm talking or thinking, I really go into a different mindset, which doesn't benefit me, to be honest. I work better when I'm just flowing, like completely focused. I guess that's true for anyone. But yeah, I like to turn on music, and again, I can't even hear the music that you guys are hearing right now. But yeah, just turning on some non-lyrical music and zone and getting into the zone. That's how I work best, so I could shut off my mind, kind of like my I guess it's my left brain, right? I just work so much better. I'm left-handed, so maybe that's one of the reasons why. So I'm using more of my right brain. And when I'm trying to communicate and talk, I'm using, I think, more of my left brain, right? That's how it works. So then it's like, it's quite challenging going back and forth. Yeah, I feel like I'm losing focus, and then I'm trying to refocus, and then losing focus again. But yeah, it's good, definitely good practice, because eventually I do want to do my own streams as well. So it's good practice. And just building up your portfolio and focusing on learning as a student. There's such a huge difference between people who can really, or who have the time, or can make the time to really focus on what they're studying throughout the months, you know what I mean? Compared to someone who's constantly distracted, right? For, again, could be good reasons, right? Because they're working, or, you know, they have other responsibilities like taking care of family members or whatever else, right? But man, the ability to, if you have the ability, or you can make the time to really concentrate in general, you know, for months to focus on learning, have focused learning, the amount of improvements you can have within a short period of time is huge. It makes a big difference. Just the ability to, if you can focus. And if I didn't have that experience in college, I don't think I would know that that would be possible. But since I experienced it, again, I know that that's, you know, what the power of focus can do. You could just grow so fast within a short period of time if you're focused. I think I shared this with you guys. I didn't watch TV for about 4 years in college. I don't think I even watched many movies during that time. All I did was, I did play games, but all I did was play games and focus on my studies. and I was able to improve quite a bit during that time. So yeah, whatever you guys can do, try to make situations where you can really focus for a significant period of time, not constantly getting distracted, right? Focus as much as you can. Set yourself up to be able to focus. And you do have to make sacrifices for that to happen, right? Oh, you're left-handed too, Patrick? Cool. Sean, you didn't watch TV after you were like 10. That's funny. Hey, thanks, Patrick. I'm trying here, I'm trying. All right. I think I overdid the details on the face. I think I got caught up in it. But usually I will detail out the head area more than the rest of the body just because it kind of sells the idea of details to the rest of the character, right? I definitely kind of overdid it. I'm going to try to balance it out here by adding some highlights in the upper body at least. Add some darks back in here. Patrick, you're asking, have you ever thought about doing some Gumroad tutorials, like rendering your style and such? I don't even know what Gumroad is. What is that? Sorry. Hey, anyways, guys, if you guys like videos like this, streams like this, please give a like. I'd appreciate that. And if you guys want to be notified, you know, make sure you notified of any future videos. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification. It helps the school a lot, and it could help you get all those updates for the videos and all that. I put like a mini ab up there. All right, we got like 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up as much as I can. Adding some light trickling down the abs. Whoops. Patrick, you said a platform where you can buy art tutorials or some other software and such. Some artists use that for their tutorials. Yeah, maybe in the future I'll do that. Margaret's saying if people are like me though, then only getting video tutorials just isn't enough. Even throwing in some short feedback video just doesn't cut it for me. I really need to feel like someone is guiding me. For some reason, that's how I learn best. You should definitely look into maybe starting your own mentorship program. Uh-oh, you're getting me into trouble here. I'm just kidding. Yeah, for sure, being under a mentor is always ideal. I think that's probably true for almost everybody. It's just more custom, right? More custom learning. Yeah, like again, sometimes as an artist, you're not able to see what you're doing wrong or like how you can be more efficient with certain things, and someone with more experience could notice those things and just guide you where you can grow faster, you know? When you're trying to learn things on your own, you can miss those things sometimes. So it's ideal for sure. I mean, I wish there were programs like this when I was coming up, but of course it was a different time back in the day. Back in the day, we had to figure things out on our own. But yeah, like with all the different opportunities you guys have now and resources, you could just grow so much faster. Why not take advantage of that, right? I think it's smart. Instead of going to traditional college to learn all this stuff, because you really won't, right? And you're gonna have to spend a lot more time and money doing it. Yeah, I made an adjustment to that shoulder just to give it more volume, and I think that looks better. Yeah, always be willing to make adjustments. Let's sketch this fish in, just because if I don't do it now, I don't know if it'll ever get sketched in. So let's just sketch something in there. I'm gonna make some kind of fish up. Put some little armor scales on them maybe. Let's get a few more highlights in there. Hey, Sean, yeah. That's great to hear that you're learning a lot through CG Spectrum. Hey, JD Smith. Even the goblins got abs during this pandemic. Yep. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. I didn't get as far as I wanted to, but hopefully this was fun and somewhat useful to look at. I don't know if I'm going to continue this next week. We'll see. We might try something different. Yeah, I might work on this during the week on my own and just show you guys how far I got with it, and just do a quick review on it by closing the layers and revealing them. But yeah, we'll probably work on something different. I'm getting sick of this guy. And yeah, thanks everyone. It was good chatting. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.